My name is Dr. Tegan Mills. I'm an occupational therapist and coming to you today with a presentation on fine motor, sensory, and self-care milestones from ages newborn through 4 years of age. The purpose of this presentation is to provide you with a bulleted overview of fine motor, sensory, social, and generalized self-care skills for this age group of 0 through 4 years old. I will not be going over each bulleted list specifically. My goal in this presentation is to provide you with ideas for skill improvement, for sensory processing, and just ways to play and interact and set a child up for success. I do want to say that I did not create this presentation with the intention of educating other therapists only. I wanted this to be a user-friendly overview that any caregiver, any type of adult or provider that is engaging with a child at any level of skill or participation or play or physical, emotional, psychological ability can engage with. 0 to 6 months, fine motor. One of the most important things that you can be doing for kiddos at this age is making sure that they're getting that quality tummy time. As you can see here at 6 months old, 5 to 6 months, this baby is on her tummy. She's reaching actively for this item. Using one hand, you'll see that they'll go from 1 to 2 hands. Grasp is usually that palmar fisted full finger wraparound, and not quite yet bringing items to mouth. They are just grasping them, holding them, maybe observing them a little bit, and bringing them to midline. For sensory processing and self-care at this age, using activities like playing with bubbles, balloons, anything that you can continue to promote that active reaching, and you're fostering those eye-hand coordination skills. So toys dangling on a car seat, again, playing with bubbles, using balloons that just kind of loft and float through the air very easily, reaching for balls, any type of manipulative that they can get their fingers in and really hold on to. Those are going to be really great beneficial tools. Jumping into 6 to 12 months old, fine motor, this is where we see a refinement in that grasp, and kiddos start using what we call a pincer grasp. So they're isolating between that index finger and their thumb and picking up smaller items. Great ideas to promote and foster that pincer grasp is doing like snack time in these divided trays. This is actually an ice cube tray here, and putting that age appropriate small snack finger food inside of there is going to make them refine and come down to that smaller pinch grasp. You also will see that kids are doing a lot of reaching and grasping. They're bringing items to their mouth and they're switching from hand to hand. So making sure that they have small toys that they can easily manipulate, not small enough that they're going to swallow. Don't want to have any choking hazards, but balls, ropes, cars, trucks, those are really great things. From a sensory standpoint perspective, we want kiddos being as messy as possible during their meal times, especially when they're getting into this phase of self-feeding and they're sticking their hands in their food. I know it's easy to try to want to keep kids clean and organized while they're eating, so that way you don't have a big mess to clean up. But I promise you, down the road, this is going to benefit them greatly. So have a messy meal, set them up where they're not going to do any damage to the environment around them if they were to spill food and you're not worried about it, and just plan to do a bath time afterwards. This is a good activity for textures, for touch, for taste, for smell, and just getting these kiddos used to different types of sensations. Another important thing at this age, 6 to 12 months old, for sensory processing is paying attention to the stimulus in their environment. Playrooms, toy rooms, it's great, but make sure that for building that sustained attention and having them engaging with you. Keep those toys limited to like 2 or 3 out on the floor at a time. I know that their attention span is not going to be that long, but if they will rotate amongst 2 or 3 toys and stay busy, that's better than having like 10 to 12 toys out and within their access in their visual sight. And then it just becomes overwhelming because they don't know how to make a choice or what it is that they really want to play with because they get so distracted so easily. Self-care at this age group, we're watching kiddos using both hands, one hand, holding a cup, drinking independently. They're using utensils, probably a spoon most likely, just experimenting with it, chewing on it, doing things like oatmeal or pudding or something that has a really thick consistency. I love this cup that this little boy is using. It's got 2 handles on it, so he has the ability to pick it up and hold it with one hand, both hands. And then this is imitating kind of drinking from an open top because it's got a nice wide ring all around the top, and it doesn't matter where he puts his mouth on it, he's going to get a drink. For fine motor, one of the biggest things that benefits a child at this age, they're using that cylindrical grasp, wrapping their full hand around it and their thumbs on the top. And so giving them big, thick pieces of chalk like this or markers are super beneficial. And then shifting their plane of drawing from a horizontal plane like on a tabletop to having it on a vertical plane, so you're using an easel or putting your paper up on the wall, or a sliding glass door if you want to use dry erase markers or shaving cream up on there. Let them draw around and mess on it, just getting it on that vertical surface where it's running up and down. That also promotes increased eye-hand coordination and development of those handwriting skills that are coming up in a couple of years. As far as toys are concerned, this 1 to 2-year-old age group, I love these cause and effect pop-up toys. Let's keep it simple. Let's give them a reaction once that they do something. Just allow them to engage with the toy themselves and watch how they respond when they get a reaction because of something that they did. Some kids do require more lights and sound just for engagement and attention, but sometimes the best thing at this age group is simple is better. 1 to 2 years, sensory processing. I really want to target talking about object permanence here, and they're looking for items, trying to find out where they are, and talk about parallel play. Parallel play is one of those things that the parent, the adult, is down on the floor, they're eye level with the kid. You are mimicking them, they are imitating you. Just like you see here, this mom's got the block and she's using it like a phone, and little boy's sitting here and he's holding it up to his face and pretending like it's a phone as well. The benefit in this parallel play and imitation as we move on into the self-care is watching how animated you are. Be animated, use big expressions, big eyes, big smiles, using those eyebrows, giving that child something to look at and to imitate, because they are absorbing everything as far as emotions and processing and those social interaction cues. So the more animated that you can be with your face and in your play and with your voice, the more inflections that you can give them, the better it is for them in building those social and play skills. Again, object permanence, toys like this box right here. This is a coin box. So this little girl has been putting these blue discs in the top of this box. And once they're all in the box, she knows that if she opens the drawer, they're going to be inside of there. So using things like the play piggy banks, you can take old food canisters that have a lid on them and slice a hole in the top, allowing them to place things inside of it. And then you watch how they respond that, oh, now it's hidden. okay, how are we going to find it? And they have to open it up and retrieve those objects. At this age, you're not quite at the hide and go seek playing age yet, but that is definitely coming soon. So that again is that object permanence and looking in the right spot for hidden objects. 2 to 3 years old, fine motor. A couple of my favorite things to do with kiddos at this age are using these bigger blocks that have holes in them and allowing them to string blocks, to make necklaces, make jewelry, play dress up. Super fun. Bilateral coordination using 2 hands, playing with Play-Doh. You're rolling and making balls, roll it out and make a pancake, make worms, however you feel you want to do that. Making it fun, making it engaging, and then you can even implement like scissors and you start snipping at the Play-Doh and cutting that up with scissors. For fine motor, as far as handwriting goes, broken crayons are a fantastic way to start getting that refined 3-finger grasp on a writing utensil. This is going to address hand fatigue. This is going to address the formation of letters and the directionality of letters. You'll see that kiddos using these broken crayons seem to pick it up with that pincer grasp, and it refines it just beautifully. And this is a great example right here of using a vertical surface, and it's just been covered with shaving cream, and now she's using her fingers to draw shapes in it. This age, sensory processing, 2 to 3 years old, you can start doing some great like 2-part instructions, giving kids one step and then a second step immediately to watch them follow and process, to pay attention. If you need to use things like visual tools or just providing a verbal reminder every once in a while. Obstacle courses are really great to encourage that 2-part instruction following, where they have to go under the chair and then over the pillow while you're playing, for example. Also doing naming games where you're naming parts of the body, and you can do it like in a dance style or using music, and having them place both hands on those varying parts of their body, and talking through what those parts of their body will help them do. 2 to 3 years old, self-care. This is quite a fun age. This is where you see a lot of potty training going on, trying to get that consistency down where we're having less accidents. You might be dealing with more accidents during the night time, so using like a pull-up or a diaper at night, but really encouraging them to be using that potty during the daytime. You could do things like sticker charts, where every time they use the toilet and they don't have an accident, they get a sticker, and after they get so many stickers, you're building that motivation to like a prize, and it could be a treat like a popsicle or something really simple. Also, dressing boards like this are super nice, having kiddos practice doing large buttons and managing different types of clothing fasteners. This particular little boy is using a weighted blanket to help him while he sleeps. If you do decide for sensory processing or self-care as far as sleep hygiene goes to use a weighted blanket, you can go up to 10% of their body weight when choosing a weight of blanket for them. This is a popular curriculum, the zones of regulation, and it just does a really good job of helping to identify those emotions that we've been talking about animating. Anybody can purchase this if you feel like you've got a kiddo that really needs some of that visual feedback, and helping them to identify how they're feeling, what they're feeling, and then it gives a provision of tools and ideas for how to redirect some of those maybe red zone or yellow zone behaviors, and getting into more a green zone. Now, I do want to put a caveat in here and say that All of these emotions are justifiable. All of them are important, and everybody is going to experience all of them at one point or another. So we never want to shame a child for feeling a particular emotion or having a reaction, more so than we want to encourage them to choose a tool or a strategy to get them out of that particular emotion or difficulty. 3 to 4 years old. So fine motor, we're looking at probably a lot of hand strengthening at this age. If you see a kiddo having a hard time using scissors, coordinating their hands working together, they're not really into drawing or playing with Legos, then you want to do things that are going to help them strengthen their hands. So this is some Theraputty right here, and we've just hidden some beads in it, and then you hide the beads within the putty, and the child has to, be pulling them out. Other hand strengthening activities are doing things like playing with Play-Doh or digging in the dirt, helping mom or dad do something in the kitchen, opening packages, pushing laundry baskets across the floor, lifting groceries, just anything that's going to encourage that grip, encourage those fingers working really hard, and getting them a little bit stronger. Sensory processing at 3 to 4 years old, one of my favorite things to do with kiddos is to play dress up. This is such a cool, fun way to address different clothing textures, to help practice dressing skills, to bring in some of those animated emotions and sharing ideas and encouraging imagination and creativity. Having different types of hats and, simple things that at this age they can put on pretty struggle-free, hats, glasses, packing around purses for girls or bags for boys, different things to open and to close, different fasteners. And then also playing dress up with them as an adult, because then you're giving them ideas, you're modeling that play, you're putting those emotions and the elaboration into what they're feeling and what they're thinking, and just encouraging and promoting those fun play ideas. Self-care, 3 to 4 years old. A couple of tips just for dressing, because it's about this age that kids are dressing pretty independently. And so one easy thing that you could do is provide kiddos with shirts that have like printing just on the front, or buttons, or something that identifies this is definitely a pocket, this is the front of the shirt and this is the back of the shirt. You'll see that a lot of kids' clothing nowadays has a screen printed label on the inside of the neck. It's not a tag that's going to have to be cut out. So we don't really have that as a marker anymore. So using screens, teaching them how the screen print goes on the front or the pocket goes on the front, and getting dressed that way. Also, it's really good to do a lot of practice for dressing with like elastic waisted pants, or something that's really easy to get off and on, that they have the confidence and the ability to do it for themselves. Fine motor, 4 to 5 years old. This is a really strategic age. You're getting ready for going to school. You're working on refining all of those fine motor skills to be able to write and to cut. And so one of the biggest things that I encourage at this age for fine motor, in that control of their arms and their eyes and their hands, all that coordinating together, is making sure that you're doing what's called crossing the midline. And so I want the left hand to go to the right side of the belly button, and I want the right hand to go to the left side of the belly button, any chance that I can get. So doing activities where both hands are having to work together, and you're twisting that trunk, you're crossing that midline, doing things like using a broom and sweeping, or these t-ball sets are really great. Playing with a tether ball, something that just has those kiddos using two hands, and they're having to reach and go back and forth across that midline. Sensory processing as you're getting ready for, maybe you're getting ready for your kid to go to school or daycare or preschool, whatever that might look at, like helpful tips for helping them get regulated with their body to increase attention with their emotions so they aren't having these big outbursts, are doing things that we refer to as heavy work. So an example of heavy work would be doing something like these animal walks. They're super fun. Kids often love them. They like to jump around. They like to play. These, frog jumps, you're jumping, bear walk, you're having to crawl across the floor, a crab walk, we got some crazy motor coordination going on, kangaroo jumps, just anything that's really giving their body some impact and causing them to move in ways, in big, heavy, pounding type movements that they don't typically get. All of that does is it's feedback to that sensory system on the inside, and helping them to just kind of learn where their body is in space, as well as burning off a little bit of extra energy. Another thing that you can use is compression strategies. And so doing things like giving big bear hugs or teaching kids how to squeeze on themselves, roll up in a little ball and tuck their knees in towards their chest and just squeeze and hug themselves. Or joint compressions by the Wilbarger protocol. You'll see the brushing and joint compressions. I encourage you that if you're interested in those type of interventions, please reach out to an occupational therapist that works with sensory processing, and they can give you some more very detailed information on that. You also see that this little boy is wearing those noise-canceling headphones, and so those are really good in loud environments where you're just quite overwhelmed by everything sound auditorily that's going on in the environment. 4 to 5 years old, self-care, allowing them to start doing things like helping to pack a lunch or their backpack for the day, or say you're going on a weekend trip away. Maybe you, as the caregiver of this child, set out all of the items that need to go on the trip, and then it's up to the child to pack the bag. For those of us that like that control and things to be neat and tidy, that might be a hard thing to let go of, but I'm going to say it is going to benefit them greatly. Also teaching kids like where things go. So allow them to help you put up their clothing after the laundry is done, or put groceries back in the refrigerator. And then encouraging peer play, social interactions, groups. We've kind of been through this season of a pandemic across our globe. And so there's a lot of kids right now in that age group of like 0 to 4, what's being targeted here on this presentation. And they have not had the social skills that our generations before have had. And so to your comfort level and to your ability, getting your kids around other kids, other peers of their interest, and allowing them to have some playtime and some of that parallel play with peers of their own age and other adults. Thanks for joining me, and I just want to say thank you to Storyteller in the World for the opportunity to partner with them and to invest into you that are accessing this information. Like I said, please feel free to review the slideshows if you're just looking for those milestones. I didn't target those specifically. And then, of course, you can go back and listen to the audio for different ideas, or just refer to the pictures for things that you can do with certain kiddos that you're working with.